Greenland is the largest island in the world, covering more than 2.1 million square kilometers, and its northern coastline marks the most northerly landmass on Earth. Although geographically part of the North American continent, Greenland has, for more than a millennium, maintained closer political, cultural, and historical ties with Europe, particularly with Denmark. Despite its immense size, the island's population is only about 57,000 people, making it one of the most sparsely populated territories on the planet. Most of its inhabitants live along the relatively milder southwest coast, where the capital city of Nuuk is located. The overwhelming majority of Greenland's landmass is covered by a vast ice sheet, which shapes not only the physical landscape but also the island's economy, infrastructure, and strategic significance. Over centuries, Greenland has shifted from a remote, Arctic frontier inhabited by successive waves of indigenous peoples to a territory of global geopolitical importance, valued for its strategic location, natural resources, and symbolic role in Arctic sovereignty and international security. The earliest known inhabitants of Greenland were Paleo-Inuit peoples who migrated from North America beginning around 2500 BCE. These migrations occurred in multiple waves, each associated with distinct archaeological cultures. Among the earliest was the Independence I culture, followed by the Sakak culture, and later the Independence II culture. These groups adapted to the harsh Arctic climate through hunting, fishing, and the use of specialized tools suited for ice and sea conditions. The Dorset culture, which emerged later, developed further adaptations to Arctic life, including improved hunting methods and distinctive artistic traditions. These cultures frequently overlapped and sometimes replaced one another, reflecting both environmental pressures and evolving survival strategies. Life in Greenland required resilience and deep knowledge of seasonal patterns, animal migration routes, and sea ice conditions. Over time, these early cultures laid the foundation for later Inuit societies. Around the beginning of the 12th century, the Thule people, ancestors of modern Inuit Greenlanders, migrated eastward from Alaska across the Canadian Arctic and into Greenland. The Thule culture brought technological innovations such as the kayak, the umiak, a larger boat, advanced harpoons, and dog sled transportation. These tools enabled more effective marine hunting and facilitated movement across vast Arctic distances. The Thule settled primarily in northern and western Greenland and developed a sustainable way of life centered on hunting seals, walrus, whales, and other marine mammals. Their arrival coincided with the presence of Norse settlers in southwestern Greenland, creating a period during which indigenous Arctic culture and medieval European society coexisted on the same island. The Norse settlement of Greenland began in the late 10th century, traditionally dated to around 982 CE, when Eric the Red arrived after being exiled from Iceland. According to medieval Icelandic sagas, Eric had previously been banished from Norway with his father and later expelled from Iceland after violent disputes. Seeking new lands, he sailed west and discovered the southwestern coast of Greenland. In an effort to attract settlers, he named the territory Greenland, likely to make it appear more appealing. His strategy proved partially successful. Although 25 ships reportedly departed Iceland to join him, only 14 completed the dangerous voyage. These settlers established two main communities known as the Eastern Settlement and the Western Settlement, both located along fjords in the southwest. Life for the Norse settlers was demanding. They relied on a combination of livestock farming, hunting, and trade. Walrus ivory became an especially valuable export to Europe, where it was used for luxury goods such as carved religious artifacts. The Norse also hunted seals and fished in Arctic waters. Over time, the settlements grew to a population estimated between 3,000 and 6,000 people. Greenland became integrated into medieval European Christendom, with churches constructed and a bishopric established in the 12th century. However, the Norse settlements eventually disappeared. The last written record from Norse Greenland dates to 1408, describing a marriage ceremony. The precise reasons for their decline remain debated, but contributing factors likely included climatic cooling during the Little Ice Age, economic isolation, soil degradation, and possibly tensions or limited trade with Inuit populations. By the 16th century, when European explorers returned, no living Norse communities were found. During the late 15th and 16th centuries, renewed European exploration of the North Atlantic brought Greenland back into broader awareness. Attempts to discover a northwest passage to Asia increased Arctic voyages, and whaling operations expanded around Greenland's waters. English and Dutch ships operated in the region, though permanent European settlement remained limited due to the harsh climate and ice conditions. In the early 18th century, Denmark sought to re-establish formal contact with Greenland, partly motivated by religious and commercial interests. Missionaries were sent to convert the Inuit population, and trading posts were established along the southwest coast. In 1776, Denmark imposed a trade monopoly, consolidating control and formalizing Greenland's status as a colony within the Danish realm. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, Greenland's remote position and Arctic environment limited large-scale development. However, international interest persisted. Norway laid claim to parts of eastern Greenland in the early 20th century, citing historical connections predating the dissolution of the Danish-Norwegian Union in 1814. The dispute was brought before the Permanent Court of International Justice, which ruled in Denmark's favor in 1933, affirming Danish sovereignty over the entire island. This legal decision strengthened Greenland's status as a Danish territory, but did not eliminate external strategic interest. Greenland's global importance intensified dramatically during the Second World War. When Germany occupied Denmark in 1940, Greenland was effectively cut off from Copenhagen. Its geographic position in the North Atlantic made it strategically vital for weather forecasting, naval operations, and transatlantic supply routes. In 1941, the Danish ambassador to the United States signed an agreement permitting the establishment of American military bases in Greenland, acting independently of the German-controlled Danish government. The United States constructed multiple bases along Greenland's coasts, transforming the island into a key link in Allied defense strategy. Greenland also developed a sled patrol composed of local hunters who monitored remote areas for German weather stations. By the end of the war, Greenland had experienced a period of relative autonomy and closer ties with the United States. After the war, Greenland returned formally to Danish control, but its political status continued to evolve. In 1953, Greenland ceased to be classified as a colony and was incorporated into the Kingdom of Denmark as an overseas county, granting Greenlanders representation in the Danish parliament. During the Cold War, the United States maintained a significant military presence, particularly at Thule Air Base in northwestern Greenland. Greenland's location between North America and the Soviet Union made it central to radar systems designed to detect potential intercontinental ballistic missiles traveling over the Arctic. This strategic role reinforced Greenland's importance in global security planning. However, the American military presence was not without controversy. In 1968, a U.S. Air Force B-52 bomber carrying nuclear weapons crashed near Thule, causing radioactive contamination and prompting a large-scale cleanup operation. The incident later became the subject of political debate, particularly after it emerged that nuclear weapons had been routinely transported over Greenland, despite Denmark's official nuclear-free policy. These events contributed to tensions between Greenlandic communities, the Danish government, and the United States. Greenland's internal political development continued through the latter half of the 20th century. In 1979, Denmark granted home rule, establishing a local parliament and expanding self-governing authority. In 2009, further powers were devolved to Greenland under a Self-Government Act, recognizing Greenlanders as a distinct people under international law and granting control over additional policy areas, including natural resources. Greenlandic became the official language, replacing Danish in most administrative contexts. Although Denmark retains authority over foreign affairs and defense, Greenland exercises significant autonomy and has the legal pathway to full independence should its population choose that course. Economic considerations play a central role in debates over Greenland's future. The island's economy has historically depended on fishing, particularly shrimp and halibut exports. However, attention has increasingly turned to Greenland's natural resources. Geological surveys suggest the presence of substantial reserves of oil and natural gas beneath its offshore areas, although environmental concerns and political opposition have limited exploration and extraction. In addition, Greenland contains significant deposits of rare earth elements, which are essential for modern technologies such as smartphones, electric vehicles, wind turbines, and advanced defense systems. As global demand for these materials grows, Greenland has become strategically important in discussions about supply chain security and economic independence. Climate change has further amplified Greenland's global significance. The melting of the Greenland ice sheet has profound implications for global sea levels, and the island has become a focal point in climate research. At the same time, receding ice has made Arctic shipping routes more accessible, potentially increasing Greenland's role in future maritime trade. These environmental changes present both risks and opportunities, complicating policy decisions about development, conservation, and sovereignty. In recent years, international attention toward Greenland has intensified. Political discussions have addressed the possibility of independence from Denmark, reflecting both national identity and economic aspirations. Opinion polls indicate strong support for greater autonomy, though concerns remain about financial sustainability, as Denmark provides substantial annual subsidies that support public services. Greenland's strategic position between North America, Europe, and the Arctic has also kept it central to the security interests of major powers. While most Greenlanders oppose becoming part of another nation, the island's resources and location ensure that it remains a subject of diplomatic interest. Today, Greenland occupies a unique position in global affairs. It is simultaneously a sparsely populated Arctic territory, a self-governing entity within the Kingdom of Denmark, a site of critical climate research, and a region of considerable geopolitical and economic interest. Its history reflects layers of migration, exploration, colonization, strategic competition, and evolving self-determination. From the earliest Inuit migrations to medieval Norse settlements, from colonial trade monopolies to Cold War radar stations, Greenland's story is one of adaptation to extreme conditions and navigation of powerful external interests. As the Arctic continues to transform in the 21st century, Greenland's future will likely be shaped by the interplay between environmental change, resource development, geopolitical strategy, and the aspirations of its people for greater control over their own destiny.